fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at two new figures from the Dragon Ball Flash line from Bandai. We have Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Frieza 4th form. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't even know these were out yet, and I just happened to find them at Ross today, of all places. You can see that they're $4.99 down from $7. So I'm not sure if these are going to see mass retail release, or if these are things that are kind of made for like the kind of budget stores like Five Below and things like that, because a lot of companies now kind of make smaller, cheaper figures for those kind of stores, Big Lots, things like that. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I just happened to find these two at Ross today, and I decided to check them out. I had seen these back at Toy Fair in September, but then I had heard nothing about them since then, and now here they are showing up in a Ross. So they do come with little display stands, which is kind of cool. They do look to have very limited articulation. They kind of remind me of like the original Bandai Japanese figures from, you know, back when the show first aired, that we then got imported here to the US before like an American company picked up the license and started making more articulated figures. Because way back in the day, if you remember, and you might not, but the original Japanese figures, I think the arms could swivel and the heads could turn side to side, and the legs had no articulation whatsoever. So these kind of seem to be more on par with those, but again, they are smaller figures. I'm kind of interested in these because, unfortunately, the Shodo line died, which I loved those figures. They were like 3 3/4 inch Dragon Ball figures, greatly articulated, really nice paint applications, interchangeable hands sometimes, and they were just really great figures. And then that line just kind of stopped, which I think is such a shame because there are so many characters they could have done that they didn't get to. I mean, there are just so many characters throughout all the different Dragon Ball series. But they kind of did the major players, and then it just kind of ended. They didn't even get to Piccolo, which I feel like is a huge shame. But in any case, we're here to talk about these. So, you know, the Raw sticker is very large on the packaging here, but otherwise they have some nice artwork here on the cards, and they're just on this bubble-on card. If we flip around to the back, we do get to see a little bit of the first wave lineup here. Although I think it's funny that Super Saiyan Blue Goku is not featured here on the packaging, but we have Super Saiyan Goku, Super Saiyan Vegeta, Frieza 4th form, Ultimate Gohan, Super Saiyan Broly, and then it's just demonstrating how you can peg them onto the bases because they have peg holes in their feet. I want to see if this one is maybe... Okay, so this must be like a separate wave or something, because this has Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta and then Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black. So I guess this is maybe part of a second wave or something. I think there's also 3 packs that are available. I kind of remember seeing 3 packs at Toy Fair, so I don't know if, you know, maybe these were originally going to be a 3-pack and then they split them out or something like that. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, very excited to check these out. I'm going to go ahead and get them out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. So here are the two figures out of the packaging, and they look pretty good. They do have limited articulation, like I mentioned, if I go ahead and remove him from the base. So each of them comes with a little base here. It says Dragon Ball Flash. And then if you flip it over, it has like a picture and the name of the character. So Super Saiyan Blue Goku, which I think is pretty cool. I think that looks nice. Kind of like a fun collectible thing. And it's a way to tell the bases apart. I mean, not that it really matters. I would imagine they could be affixed to whatever base, but just kind of a fun way to tell which base goes with who. Now, as far as the figures go, I think they're pretty good. I mean, the face sculpt on Goku looks pretty good. The eyes are painted. The eyebrows are painted nicely. The face is nicely sculpted. I think the hair looks pretty good. They did a good job with that. Now, I can't really tell. The head might be on a ball joint, and it might just be because of the way his head and hair are sculpted that you can't get much out of it. It can certainly turn from side to side, no problem. You can go back and forward a little bit, but not too much, because, again, the hair hits into the neck. So for him, he's mostly going to get side to side. The arms, you would think that they swivel here at like where the orange meets the blue, but they actually swivel kind of where his arm starts after the shirt. So because of that, they're on kind of like a weird circle cone-shaped swivel, which, I mean, kind of works because you can do kind of like his arms out to the side like he's powering up, something like that. But you can't really do like a full rotation. I think it really just has to do with the way his shirt is cut. Nothing in the waist. You don't have a swivel there. And like I mentioned before, there's nothing from like the waist down. Really, there's nothing except the 2 arms and the head. The waist is solid. The legs are solid. You can't swivel the boots or anything. But they are kind of more inexpensive toys, so I get it. I kind of wish, I mean, I don't really need elbows. It would have been nice to just have, you know, the ability to kick forward. If they could have just given us 5 POA, I think they would have been kind of fun. But overall, they're not too bad. They do affix to the base pretty easily, so you can just go ahead and pop him on there. Now, moving on to Frieza. Frieza also looks pretty good paint-wise. Here is the little base. Again, it says Dragon Ball Flash, and then it has a picture of Frieza here. Frieza 4th form. And I think they did a really nice job, the head sculpt with Frieza. I think that's pretty good. Nicely painted and detailed. Mine looks like it might be scratched a little bit in this purple area here, but otherwise that's really nicely painted. His head is definitely on a ball joint. You can get a decent amount of up and down movement, side to side. You can kind of tilt it a little bit. You can see up in there that it is definitely a ball joint for his head. The arms do rotate around kind of where you would expect them to. Nothing in the waist again, but the tail does swivel. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4 points of articulation here on Frieza. But again, nothing in the waist, nothing in the legs. But you have some really nice metallic purple paint down here on the shins. All in all, I think the purple paint looks really good. And I kind of like the little figure. I definitely wish that they had leg articulation. But other than that, I mean, I would be fine with 5 POA Dragon Ball figures. I'm not super upset by that. And I'm also not super upset. I mean, again, going on the fact that these are little $5 figures, I mean, I would always love more articulation, don't get me wrong. But I think they're kind of fun. And if you just want something as like a stand-in for, you know, compatibility with other 3 3/4 inch or 4-inch figures, I think they're pretty good. So honestly, I'm pretty happy with them. But let's go ahead, let's bring in some other figures so we can do comparisons to see how they measure up. So the first comparison I have to do is to their Shodo counterparts from back in the day. They never did a normal 4th form, like non-gold Frieza, which I always thought was weird because that would be such an easy repaint to do. But they did do gold Frieza. Now, again, he's made out of gold plastic, so I am kind of worried. But the nice thing is that most of the joints are done in this kind of, like, mustardish gold color. And so I'm hoping maybe that will help them hold out in the future. But, like, the tail down here and the head and stuff is all done in gold. It might just be gold painted. So time will tell, but hopefully this plastic will hold up. But you can see that the Shodo figure is definitely a little smaller than this figure. I would say Shodo Frieza is probably one of the smallest Shodo figures. So maybe if this is 3 3/4 inch, this is maybe 3.5 inches, something like that. But it's kind of fun to have, you know, 4th form Frieza and then going into, I guess technically 5th form Frieza with Golden Frieza here. So it's nice to kind of have both represented. Now, of course, this line had so much more articulation. You had ball joints in the hips. You had bendable knees. You had foot swivel. You had, you know, hinges and rotations in the shoulder, bicep swivels. I mean, this was such a great line. I really, really loved these figures, and I would have loved them to continue. But, you know, again, these were upwards of like $12 to $15 a piece. These are $5 a piece, so you kind of have to you know, keep your expectations in check. But honestly, just to have them next to each other, I wish they were a little bit closer in height, but I think it's a fairly decent, you know, representation to have, you know, now I have 2 different forms of Frieza kind of in this scale. So all in all, I think that worked out pretty well. And also I have a hard time getting Gold Frieza to stand. He does not have holes in his feet, so he cannot affix to the base. I'm just going to sit him, because he's just going to fall over anyway. Here we have Super Saiyan Blue Goku. Now, of course, this is kind of his appearance earlier on in Super. I don't know that they did him in this classic outfit, and you can see that the shades of blue are different. But these guys stand about the same size. I would say this one is slightly taller, but only slightly, maybe a fraction of an inch taller than the other one. So I feel like, you know, they're about the same size. Now, again, these are going to be way more highly articulated than these are, but again, you know, completely different budget. But yeah, I think they kind of work. I mean, they scale well with each other. I think that works okay. So, you know, it's a bummer that Shodo got discontinued, but maybe we can get a couple more characters in this line and you could kind of use them together because they're about the same size. And then next up, I have a 4-inch DC figure from Spin Master and a 3 3/4 inch Vintage Collection Star Wars figure from Hasbro. They also scale pretty well. I mean, it's kind of funny. This is supposed to be 3 3/4 inch and this is supposed to be 4-inch, but I mean, here they kind of look almost exactly the same size, so they scale great together. You can see that Goku is about the same size. I mean, obviously the head's a little bit lower, but with the hair and everything, I feel like it's close enough. It's not perfect, but it's close enough. So I think that these scale pretty well together as well. Just for fun, here's some Transformer comparisons. Here's an old G1 Action Master, and then a current Core Class Transformer. What else can we throw in here? Here's Magic Square's Swindle. Here's a Ninja Turtle action figure. Here is a 3-inch McFarlane Page Puncher. And then here's Ahsoka from Mission Fleet. Honestly, for the price, I think these are kind of cool. I mean, if you guys know me at all, I'm a big fan of the 3 3/4 inch / 4-inch scale, 1/18 scale. And yeah, I mean, I would have loved for the original Shodo line to continue. Those were fantastic figures with a lot of paint applications, interchangeable hands, a fantastic amount of articulation. But unfortunately, that line ended some time ago, and it's been quite a while. But I think these are kind of fun. I mean, they're definitely not anywhere nearly articulated as the old line, but they're also significantly cheaper. They're about a third of the price of the old line per figure. So I think I'm okay with that. I mean, they're nice little representations. I would love the Shodo line to come back, but I'm assuming that's not going to happen. And these are just kind of fun little 3 3/4 inch representations of these characters that you can use with your other 3 3/4 inch figures. And they're just kind of fun. I mean, they definitely could use some more articulation. I would have been completely fine if they were just 5 POA figures. If you could just swing the legs forward, you know, kind of old Kenner style, I would have been totally fine with that. You know, I can live without them having leg articulation, but I just think it would have worked a little bit better if they would have had, because I mean, there's, you know, martial arts is a big part of the show. Being able to kick is a big part of that. So it would have been nice if they could have just given them the leg movement. I mean, I don't need knees. I don't need elbows. I could definitely live without that stuff for the price. But for what you get, they're very nicely detailed. They're very nicely painted. They do have a few articulation points. So I'm definitely going to check out some more of these. I'll see what else we have offered in the line. And definitely going to be looking into these some more. So let me know what you guys think. I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.